So I created this account back on March 1st during the 2.5 version of Genshin Impact, exactly 200 days ago with the making of this video. The purpose of this account is to play Genshin on hard mode, where I have to avoid the character death. For the entirety of this account, I cannot die, or else I won't be able to use my characters again. This basically changes the team comp, how I plan out who to pull, and how I play the game. Imagine pulling a 5-star character, but if you did an oopsie and die, then you cannot use the character anymore. I basically lose this challenge after every character that I own dies. This Nuzlocke series is inspired by Pokemon, but with the rules altered for a game like Genshin. The first rule of this Nuzlocke is, if my character dies, then I cannot use him anymore. I could, however, pull for a character-specific constellation to revive them. This means a constellation is an extra life, capping out at C6. However, this account is purely free to play, so I have to plan out my pulls carefully. This means I can pull on any banners that I want as long as I have the free to play premium gems for them. Oh, and also no co-op is allowed as well. In order to clear Nuzlocke, I have to register all the teleport waypoints up to Chasm. When I first started this series, I didn't consider Sumeru to be one of the goals to clear this challenge. I also need to accumulate 200 achievements on this account, as well as clearing floor 8 of the Spiral Abyss. And yes, dying in the Abyss will also be counted as permadeath for the character. Since you have to split your team up after floor 5, this will pose a challenge when I eventually take on the Abyss. So if you were playing back in 2.5, the Yayamiko banner was running at the time. The 4 stars featured on the banner were Fischl, Diona, and Toma. The characters were all pretty good and will be helpful on this account. However, what I'm aiming for is Kokomi, who will be featured in the second half of version 2.5, along with Raiden Shogun. Kokomi is arguably one of the tankiest and best healers in the game, so if I can get her on my team, we will be looking pretty good. So I'll hold the primos until her banner comes. That is, if I can survive until then. To ensure that, I'll most likely pull on a beginner banner to get Noelle. She is a pretty underrated character in my opinion, and with her shield, we can tank even more hits. I'm planning a freeze team, since if the enemies are frozen, they can't fight back, so I'm aiming for a team consisting of Kaya for Cryo, Barbara for Hydro Application, Noelle for the shield, and the last member can be anyone. My end goal, however, is to have a team consisting of Ayaka for Cryo, Kokomi for Hydro, Zhongli for shield, and Kazuha because he's fun to play with. With this kind of team, we'll probably never die, and honestly, it's a bit overkill, but we'll see whether or not we can achieve this. So we created an account and named it Nuzzle because it's a Pokemon move, which was the origin of Nuzlocke. While I was showing off my bunny hopping skill, I got a bad Paimon. Now this is my own conspiracy, but if I get a bad Paimon on my account, then your account will have bad rolls every time. First, my Paimon pushed me down a cliff, which almost killed me and ended my run there. Next, Paimon did this weird twirl, which made me believe she was possessed. Wait, what are you doing?
Paimon will get dizzy.
Okay, ignoring all of those, we continue to the first statue of a 7. Everything changed though when we jump into the water. It's not really possible to die in the beginning. Wait, what? Yeah, we drowned as the only character alive in the party, so Nuzzle basically died and thus ended our run already. Well, at least we got away from a possessed Paimon. We tried again on another account that I created and named him Nuzzle Jr. This time we made it through where we died earlier and successfully got through the tutorial, which we can start pulling. I wished on a beginner banner so we can get Noelle, a tanky character that we will be relying on so we can have a higher chance to survive. A bit unfortunate we didn't get any other 4 stars with our first wish, but oh well. On the second day of this account, I got to AR8, and we continued on a Mondstadt questline. Excuse me. No. Oh. We sped through it and got to AR10, which Genshin will give us 10 more fates to pull. I wished on the beginner banner again because it's cheap and got Barbara. It's a bit disappointing since we can get her for free, but it's an extra life for her, so I guess that's good. After that, I decided to challenge the world boss, with the Cryo Regisvine being the first one we fight. This might have been a mistake, however, as we immediately got ambered on life support. Okay, you guys didn't really see that. It took me around 10 minutes to finally beat the boss. But yeah, I should think twice before challenging this boss again, especially since my characters are under-leveled. Over the next week, I made it to AR16 and went to Liyue for the first time. Even though I haven't finished the Archon quest, I decided to go to a dangerous area where the 4 rune guards reside. This fight was very difficult, and even with Noelle's shield, it wasn't quite enough. My Kaya almost died, and Noelle was barely hanging on with 11 HP. But with a new strategy of camping and baiting with Baron Bunny, we got through this fight somehow. Thinking back now, this was probably a death wish, but I'm just glad my team made it through this. When my characters ascended, we get the free Acquainted Fates from him, so it's time to pull again. I don't know what I want. Characters? Oh, we got a weapon. We didn't get any new characters, but hopefully we'll get lucky when we wish in the future. On day 8 to 10, we explored a bit of Liyue more, and I decided to challenge every boss in Liyue. Oceanid and Primordial Bishop were the ones giving me the most trouble as my characters don't do much against them. We unlocked most of the waypoints in Liyue and got a decent amount of Primo Gems for Kokomi, whose banner will be coming soon. We also defeated the Volin and finished the Monster Archon quest as well. Poor Paimon. So on day 11, Kokomi's banner finally arrived. We farmed a bit more Primo Gems by doing a Spiral Abyss. We cleared up to floor 3 and got ourselves a Xiangling. Now we can finally enter Dragonspine. Before we ventured into Dragonspine, I decided to stand by the entrance and pull. Keep in mind that this was my first ever 10 pull on an event banner on this account. But yeah, let's see. Wait, what, no. Are you serious? Okay, maybe we'll already get Kokomi in our first 10 roll. Okay, we got our first 5-star somehow. Let's see who it is. Come on, show it. Okay. Seems like we got a big fish character very fast. Oh, and a sacrificial sword. Hopefully this is my first of many 5-stars to come. So since we got Kokomi, she's one of the endgame lineup that we wanted. So hopefully she can stay alive for the rest of the series. We still haven't had any characters that died yet, so... Oh, hopefully I didn't jinx it. The next day, we continue to explore Dragonspine. I honestly admit, I was pretty unprepared coming in here, and I feel like without getting Kokomi, our run would have ended here. Since Kokomi is an overpowered healer, especially as early on as we are, she single-handedly carried us the whole way through. The timed fight with the 3 Cryo Abyss Mages to thaw out the shard was the hardest, but somehow we beat it with 1 second to spare. During the next week, I mostly just caught up with the Mondstadt domains and got the free Primo Gems from him. I managed to get myself up to AR24 and decided to bench Kokomi for the time being. This was a strategic move since we don't really want to risk Kokomi early on in the game, at least until Inazuma. I did a tempo as well, getting 2 Sara and a Xian from it. Since we got to AR24, we could also start the Liyue Archon quest as well and got through the first act. With 1 month under my belt, the 2.6 update came out as well. If you guys forgot, it was the Chasm update where the newest region was released. This version also featured a double banner with Ayato and Venti on radar, so we'll most likely pull for Venti as well to make our team even stronger. Sucrose was also on the same banner, so she will be a consolation prize if we don't get Venti. We did our first 10 pull on a banner and got Yunjin. We also explored a bit of Chasm and unlocked all the waypoints here. Hello, your friend is getting beat up here and you're still talking to the boss. Here. You guys want to see his body before you start fighting back? There you go. Oh, you still don't want to fight, huh? Oh, this guy's... He's kind of tired, but he's still trying. Oh, look at him. Boom. Oh, your friend just fly over your screen. And you still don't give the flying... Okay, here you go. The upper part of Chasm wasn't particularly challenging, but the Jewel Bishop enemies were the ones that almost killed me. Thankfully, Noelle's shield came in clutch and we had our Kokomi, or else we probably would have died this fight. On day 31 to 42, we kinda relaxed a bit and mostly log on just to do dailies. During this patch, there was an OP Spiral Abyss buff that stacks your normal damage and you could defeat enemies way higher level than you in the Abyss, which we took advantage of. From floor 5 onwards, we needed to split our team up, but since we only needed to clear floor 8, hopefully we can cheese through this. We made it to floor 7, and this floor was a bit difficult with the Fatuis. This weird thing happened and my Barbara decided to skate on one of the Fatui's heads. This almost killed my Barbara, but luckily the enemies weren't close to me so we could just leave the domain and restart. But I have no idea how that happened. Floor 8 wasn't as bad because the bosses aren't really difficult and the bosses don't move at all. But yeah, we beat the Abyss at AR25, which knocked out one of our clear conditions, so I'm glad that we could take advantage of this blessing to clear it. In the next few days, we focused on Liyue Archon quest and finished Act 2. We also ascended our world level to 2, so the enemies will be more difficult as well now. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering why this account progressed very slow. This was because I don't actively play on it as often since I was a bit busy, but yeah, it took me 2 months to get to AR 27. Anyways, we continued on the Liyue Archon quest, but I ran into a problem. I didn't have any geo characters when I climbed on this mountain, and being as lazy as I am, I didn't want to jump down the mountain to switch my character. Now, during this time, Ayaka's banner was out, and one of the 4 stars was Sayu. So I decided that I should pull and hopefully get her, so I didn't have to go all the way to Mondstadt to switch my Traveler's element. So yeah, this was basically next level stuff, and I had to pat myself because of this 200 IQ wish. Anyways, after that we went to beat up a child and finish up the Liyue Archon quest. Sadly, Venti's banner ended already, so we didn't get him, but it's alright since we can probably get Ayaka. So fast forward to 70 days on this account. I started to live stream my runs, which also added pressure because people are basically watching you and seeing when you will die. We sped through the Thane's Elf quest and the Inazuma quest with Kazuha, and made our way to the 3rd region. The beginning of the Inazuma questline was mostly just talking, so I tapped my keyboard so hard that it broke and I had to get a new one. Since Ayaka is on a raid up, we did another temple but got Razor and another Sayu instead. With this, we had our first fight with Raiden. This was an endurance fight. You mostly just need to survive as long as possible. Since I didn't want to risk Kokomi dying, I brought Barbara instead. And while this might make the fight harder, if we were to die, we could still use Kokomi. It turned out that we didn't even need Kokomi and everyone survived to see another day. On days 75 to 83, I mostly spent the time grinding for Primogems. We also continued on the Inazuma Archon quest and made it to the Resistance. Anyways, we got through the Fatui factory and trained under Yaemiko in order to defeat a Raiden Shogun. I also had to fight a Hydro Cube in order to ascend my Kokomi to a higher level, and fought some Spectres since we need them as well. They were especially challenging because they kept healing up, but luckily we could defeat them if we unleashed all of our bursts at once. With around 3 months in, we could finally tackle the hardest challenge yet, which was basically the Signora and then the Raiden Shogun fight in the Inazuma Archon quest. The Signora fight wasn't that bad. I used Xiangling for the first phase and Kokomi and Kaya did all the work for the second phase. The Raiden fight was a bit tricky since she locked out our skill and renders us useless. After our elemental skill and burst were locked, we stayed out of her range and eventually got through and defeated her. Every time we made it through a fight, I have Kokomi to thank because she rarely carried our boss fights here. Without her, I don't think we could beat both Signora and Raiden that easily. What can we do without Kokomi? After that, we did a Seirai Island quest and unlocked the Electro Oceanid and gathered some Primogems for Ayaka. The questline wasn't really difficult, we just had to solve a few puzzles and fight the Electro Oceanid, and that's basically it. We gathered enough Primogems for a 10 roll. I expected to get Ayaka, but we got Rosaria instead. She's honestly pretty good as well, so we can raise her up if we fail to get Ayaka. So we're almost at South Pity for Ayaka. Before we can pull, let's do the Ascension quest for 100 Primogems. In the domain, we were greeted by level 60 enemies, while our team is only level 50. The whole domain was hard. It was basically a test of endurance because we could only dwindle the enemies' HPs down slowly. After a slow and painful experience, we outlasted our enemies and took out the Electro Cube as well. We finally ascended Kokomi to level 60 and finished our commissions for the extra Primogems. Now it's time to pull. We had to do singles as we are very close to South Pity. We got Rosaria again and ran out of Primogems, so we basically had to scavenge for some with the achievements. Last roll. Last. Oh, there it is. What is it? We got enough for more pulls and we got another 5-star. And with that, we got our second 50-50 win with Ayaka and got another strong addition to our team. From day 96 to 100, we continued exploring Inazuma. I started a Sakura Cleansing Ritual quest, which has a few challenging elements to it. Each barrier that you need to destroy, there are samurai enemies that have the potential to one-shot me. We quickly got through each barrier and reached the pink tumor. The fight was a nightmare for me because in order to defeat a tumor, you have to solve the puzzles as well. This fight had very high stakes as you take passive damage if you don't have any Electrogram with you. The 2 samurai also can kill you anytime, so I had to keep Noel's shield up to even feel safe to fight. Fast forward to day 130. I finally got back to playing this account again after not really touching it for 30 days. Over the course of the month, I started a Tsurumi Island quest in my Twitch stream. If you guys did a questline already, you would know that there are several parts to this quest, and each of the parts are time-gated by real-life days. Part 1 was alright. We kept getting lost in a fog. This was also the first introduction of the Rift Hounds, which breaks through shield and you take damage over time if you get hit. This poses as a threat to me because Noel's shield is basically useless against them. Luckily, Kokomi could out-heal this and with our freeze team, we got through them. The puzzles that you have to solve were pretty confusing at first, but since I solved it before, it didn't take long before I remember how to do them again. On day 2 of the quest, we started using Ayaka since she was leveled up now and won't die as easily now. One of my viewers asked me how my Kokomi would die, which I answered, what do you think would be the cause of a death if there was one? I feel like the most likely thing to kill me is like me falling down. Oh, or maybe that. Like if I run out of stamina, or maybe just fall down the cliff on accident, I think that might be like the most likely case. So we destroyed the trees and completed part 2 of a quest. The last day features the red sky, and we had to fight the Electro Oceanid in a story. After defeating the boss, we decided to take out some specters along the way because our Kokomi needed them for Ascension. There's no way I'll let Kokomi die. I'm honestly pretty impressed by my results, since we made it through Tsurumi without any casualties at all. Even though our team is pretty under level at this point, it takes a long time to defeat enemies in general, so this really feels like a hard mode Genshin for me. The next quest we need to clear is Enkanomiya. I know Enkanomiya is filled with a lot of strong enemies, so hopefully our freeze team can successfully clear it without any troubles. Before we get to Enkanomiya though, we need to complete this prerequisite quest in order to get there. We had to use elemental sites in order to collect the purple orbs. There are more spectre enemies, so I thought we could collect Kokomi Ascension materials along the way. Little did I know, this decision would change my Nuzlocke account forever. Oh. Did I die? Okay. I tried to teleport away before I land on the ground, but I guess with both the shock and the disbelief that a small, puny, cute-looking thing like a spectre can actually kill my fish made me hesitate too much. But yeah, now we lost probably our best character in our team, so we had to use Barbara to replace Kokomi. I'm not gonna lie, losing Kokomi kinda made me sad because of the journey we went through together on this account. She showed up in the first ever temple on this account, and she's been working and single-handedly carried me through Dragon Spine and multiple boss fights, so I couldn't imagine clearing Enkanomiya and Chasm Underground without her. Hopefully I'll have a chance to revive her on her rerun. We managed to complete the quest and got into Enkanomiya. So we had to complete the world quest in Enkanomiya and discover all the teleport waypoints here. The world quest in Enkanomiya is a bit hard, especially since there are Rift Hounds again. This time we had to kill it without Kokomi. So with Barbara and Ayaka, we froze the doggies and made it so they couldn't fight back. Luckily, we had Noelle to heal alongside Barbara, so we barely scraped through the fight. This particular Ruin Guard was targeting my Ayaka even though I was far away from it. And since we just lost our Kokomi earlier the same day, I got a bit angry at the Ruin Guard. I'm going right back up just to kill you. Normally I would let you go, but you kinda make me mad. We managed to get through and fought the Abyss Selector at the end and completed the Enkanomiya quest plus unlocked all the waypoints. One of our last goals of this Nuzlocke is to clear Chasm and unlock the waypoints there. Since we cleared the upper parts of the Chasm very early on, all we need to do is to complete the world quest to unlock the underground. The underground consists of a lot of dangerous enemies, including more Jove ships, and we had to clear the world quest in order to unlock all the waypoints. The Chasm underground also consists of a lot of different ways we can lose the run. There are a lot of cliffs, so you might just fall and die, like my Kokomi. The enemies are very tanky and all have the potential to end your characters, and with my Ayaka, we need to protect her at all costs since I wouldn't know what to do without her to carry me. There are a lot of Abyss Heralds in this quest as well, but luckily for us, we had Ayaka and can cheese them with freeze. One of the most dangerous moments is where you had to fight the Guardian Soldier people, and with a mud, you can't really dash to dodge their attacks. Good thing our Noelle provided shield, so we didn't really get knocked back as much, so we defeated the enemy successfully. After this, we cleansed the crystals and had to fight the Ruined Serpent. For bosses, we couldn't freeze them, so we actually had to play very carefully so we don't die. This boss was particularly annoying because it digs itself underground, so we can't really burst it as much, especially with Ayaka. After slowly chipping it down, we managed to beat it and completed the world quest. We also managed to unlock all the waypoints down in a chasm, so I consider this as a success. During 2.8, I didn't really do the GAA event because it was too long. but looking back, I honestly should've since I needed more Primo Gems. The banner that was up first was Kazuha, who I actually wanted since the beginning. Even though I didn't have much Primo Gems, I decided to pull anyways because why not? I might get lucky. If I didn't get Kazuha, maybe I could get Hazel anyways. It was also Hazel's birthday, so we had extra luck going into this. We finished the Mona story quest for the extra Primo Gems, and right when we received Hazel's birthday mail, we rolled. Okay, let's see if we can get Hazel in. It's purple. My luck on my main, I usually get like Ningguang and Thomas, so my expectation is low. Yup. See? Our first pull was Toma and Ningguang, and as expected, no Hazel. Like, Hazel just avoided me. Like, both of these characters. Oh, wait. I guess we. I'm not sure if this is like pity or not, but I'll take it if it's Kazuha. I'm still pretty lucky, right? But I don't have Hazel though. Like, this is the problem. Oh. I guess I got him? I'm actually still surprised at the early Kazuha pity. With Kazuha coming home, we won 3 out of 3 50-50s, and 2 showed up in less than 20 pulls. I'm still sad about Kokomi though. After we got Kazuha, we went straight to Magu Kenki and beat him up for some Kazuha essential materials. But yeah, hopefully Kokomi comes back to us during her rerun. Since Kokomi is rerunning in 2.0, I saved up a bit to pull for Kokomi. I went to Sumeru a bit and unlocked a lot of waypoints. There were a lot of events in 3.0 as well, so we farmed a bit of Primo Gems, but we were still only at 48 pity. I personally think it is fated for Kokomi to return to us after we beat the Nuzlocke, so hopefully we can get our constellation to get Kokomi back to us. We have to get through some challenges in order for us to reunite, but we have to win the 50-50 again. But since we won the 50-50 3 out of 3 times, surely we can win the 4th time, right? We also need to farm enough to pull 30 times to hit soft pity, and we have a little bit less than 2 weeks before she is gone again. Finally, it's Judgment Day. We will see whether or not we can revive Kokomi from her long slumber and return her to our team. So we continue to finish the Sumeru events and got the rest of the Primo Gems, enough for 20 pulls, which will take us to about 68 pity. For our first 10 pull, we got our first Sucrose on this account. The second temple, we only got a weapon, so we need to farm a bit more Primos. I checked my luck with a fortune slip and got good luck, so I'm feeling pretty good about Kokomi. I had to accumulate even more Primo Gems to get enough for another temple, which will take us to about 78 pity. So I did a temple, but we didn't get any 5 stars, but instead we got Shincho. Hey, that means we will get a 5-star Hydro character, right? On our 79th pull, we got another Sucrose. I had to farm the Adventure Handbook in order to get 150 Primo Gems, and then we finally had enough for another single. This time, we got a 5-star. Gold? Okay, Kokomi now. Right? But we got Kachin, so we lost our 50-50 basically, and our dream of reviving Kokomi failed. Maybe we'll get her in the future after another rerun, but it kinda pains me that our first 50-50 loss was on Kokomi's banner. Let's get F's in the comments for Kokomi, for her hard work and how hard she carried us in this series. It's a bit unfortunate that we didn't get her, but this series taught me that I shouldn't stand close to cliffs, and I should have upgraded my statue more to get more stamina. Looking back at this series, I think I probably missed a few things, but I'm glad I stuck it out and completed it. Going forward, I will most likely be continuing my Road to 100k series, where I aim to get 100,000 free-to-play Primo Gems on that account. I'm also doing a race against time with you guys, betting on whether or not I will reach 100k subscribers first or 100k Primo Gems on that account. There's already 7 videos out, so if you haven't watched that series yet, go check it out by clicking on the playlist here.